The world heard their screams of injustice. This was the moment journalists in Egypt learned the cost of just doing their jobs. For correspondent Peter Greste, 7 years in prison. Producer Mohammed Fahmy, 7 years. Producer Baher Mohammed, 10 years. 3 more than the others for having a used bullet in his pocket. Charged with spreading false news and aiding the Muslim Brotherhood, there was no evidence of that presented in this courtroom. That didn't stop the judge, who pronounced them guilty. Their heartbreak clear even through a cage.
My God. Oh. My God.
Oh, for their families, pure panic and disbelief.
If they have found any evidence, how many years they could give him? For nothing, they give him 7 years.
The world saw, and leaders quickly condemned it.
Today's conviction is obviously, it's a chilling and draconian sentence. And you know, it's deeply disturbing to see in the midst of Egypt's transition.
Ministers around the table were extremely concerned about the sentences pronounced this morning against the Al Jazeera journalists.
We're seeing an absolute suffocation of freedom of expression, and clearly this is very bad for the individuals, but for Egypt also.
Condemnation, but a question of consequences. The Obama administration had previously cut off some military aid to the Egyptian military after President Mohammed Morsi was deposed, but within the last 2 weeks, U.S. officials say they gave them the money, $572 million. They just held back about $70 million, and that could still go to Egypt. Along with promised Apache helicopters, the State Department is being vague about what will happen next.
The Secretary has expressed his dismay, expressed the fact that he's disturbed to both the Foreign Minister and the President. It's up to them to take some action. Whether there are consequences to that is something that we would look at in terms of our diplomacy and our relationship with Egypt going forward. We do have a strategic relationship, and that's a relationship that pushes and pulls back and forth, and we will see what happens.
We will see what happens. In Cairo, in Washington, and around the globe, the world is watching. Paty Culhane, Al Jazeera, Washington.